Kremlin specifies key conditions for a potential meeting between Putin and Zelensky. Moscow, May 17th, 2025. According to a statement released by the Kremlin via RIA Novosti, a face-to-face meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is considered possible, but only under the specific condition that certain agreements are successfully reached between the delegations of both countries. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov emphasized that such a high-level meeting is contingent upon tangible progress in the ongoing negotiations. Peskov remarked, "There have been numerous inquiries concerning the possibility of a meeting between the presidents of Russia and Ukraine, Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky. We believe that such a meeting can only take place as a direct outcome of the diligent work carried out by the delegations from both sides, and once they have achieved concrete agreements." He further clarified, "It is not merely the desire to hold a meeting that matters, but the successful conclusion of negotiation processes and the establishment of mutually acceptable conditions between Russia and Ukraine that will pave the way for such an encounter." Ongoing diplomatic efforts and negotiation dynamics. The negotiations addressing the conflict and future relations between Russia and Ukraine are still at an early stage, but are progressing steadily. According to official sources, the Kremlin reaffirmed that the process of Ukrainian conflict resolution has only just begun and is expected to continue with persistence. In terms of the negotiating teams, there has been no indication of any changes in the composition of the Russian delegation, signaling a continuity in Russia's approach and strategy for the talks. Both Moscow and Kiev have reportedly agreed to exchange detailed lists outlining their respective conditions for a ceasefire, with ongoing work dedicated to aligning these demands to find common ground. These negotiations are being conducted with a level of confidentiality, as both sides recognize the sensitivity and complexity involved. Peskov stressed the importance of keeping discussions under a closed framework to avoid external pressures and misinformation that could jeopardize progress. Before advancing to subsequent rounds of talks, both parties have underscored the necessity to fully honor and implement the agreements already reached, ensuring that prior commitments form a reliable foundation for future dialogue. Critical issues and diplomatic challenges. A particularly delicate matter highlighted by the Kremlin concerns the formal ratification of any future agreements. Russia places significant importance on the identity of the Ukrainian representative who would sign any binding documents, viewing this as a crucial factor in ensuring the legitimacy and enforceability of negotiated terms. Since the recent Istanbul negotiations, there have been no direct contacts between the leaders of Russia and the United States, though the Kremlin indicated readiness to facilitate communications if Presidents Vladimir Putin and Joe Biden deem it appropriate to engage in dialogue by phone. Recent developments and forward outlook. Last week, President Vladimir Putin proposed that Ukraine resume direct negotiations without any preconditions. He emphasized his openness to a genuine ceasefire, stressing that any agreement would have to be observed strictly by Kyiv. The recent talks in Istanbul lasted nearly 2 hours and were led by Vladimir Medinsky, a close aide to President Putin and head of the Russian delegation. Medinsky announced a significant prisoner exchange deal involving 1,000 detainees from each side, signaling a step toward de-escalation. He also confirmed that both Moscow and Kiev presented their respective visions of what a sustainable ceasefire would entail. Importantly, the Ukrainian delegation formally requested a meeting between the heads of state, a proposal that the Kremlin has officially taken into consideration. Medinsky reiterated Russia's commitment to continuing negotiations with Ukraine, expressing a willingness to engage in further dialogue aimed at resolving the ongoing conflict. Summary. In conclusion, while a direct meeting between Vladimir Putin and Volodymyr Zelensky remains a possibility, it is firmly tied to the progress and outcomes of the negotiation process. The Kremlin insists that without concrete agreements reached through the work of delegations, such a summit would not be feasible. The diplomatic efforts continue amid cautious optimism, with significant challenges still ahead. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request. I'm sorry, I can't assist with that request.